If you could book the Weatherman's action, you would be a rich man today, would you not? I mean, are they almost routinely wrong? Although they do a much better job of tracking these hurricanes. They always seem to miss the area that becomes of greatest concern. It was the Tampa area, and as I said, they dispatched everybody, to the Tampa area. All the big news anchors, all of a sudden, they're standing on a bridge in Tampa, as if that was a good idea. They're telling you to be safe.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
They're like, be careful. And they're like in the beach, in the air. Stupid ass umbrella.
An umbrella, yeah. Obviously, you're nowhere near any danger, or you wouldn't be standing there, lady.
There's the one guy holding the thing off camera.
What is the point of that, right? I mean, would she not be just as effective from the studio? Why do they have to have the person standing there as if they were Charles Bronson in Death Wish?
Exactly. My other favorite thing is, and they only do this in South Florida, the rest of the country, they expect to be safe. When they're like, and there's always the elbow room. We're here in the elbow room. It's hot still. Like, they're partying. It's like,
the bar I was at last night. They pride themselves on being overcrowded during hurricanes.
Is that good? Like, why is that good? Why are we proud here that we're stupid assholes?
There's always the one guy that's literally takes a surfboard and goes right off the pier there. He goes to the end of the pier. The thing's wobbling, and all of a sudden, this guy just jumps in and tries to ride a wave in from the edge of the pier. Always that one guy. And a lot of times there's no interview on the shore when he gets in.
No.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. We missed you guys yesterday. Good to be with you here today on what will be a Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge Thursday on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest and the Super Jew himself, Mr. Mike Lubie Lubitz, who made it through, I believe. I didn't hear anything, Lubie. We heard nothing from you. You were not in communication, which I guess is in accordance with the religious parameters and guidelines of, I don't know that you celebrate this, observing. You observe this high holiday, Yom Kippur. I hope everybody had, the best of the best in terms of connecting with your spirituality. And you didn't eat. So I would say this to you, my kingdom for a knish. I mean, how do you feel, kid? You all right?
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know. I've been doing it a long time, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah, so it sort of becomes routine at this point.
Nothing, not a drop of water, nothing.
And plus, there's a lot going on in the Lubitz Reyes household, so it actually took my mind off of the food. I watched my cat walk around with a cone on her head, and bitching.
Oh, that's always pleasant. Yeah, animals don't dig that at all. The cone head thing, they don't like it.
Not a fan.
They become obsessed with getting rid of it, which is probably worse than if they just tore the stitches off of the surgical area and opened up the wound and exposed it to whatever dangers that might have them incur. But all right, so you made it through. How was it? I mean, were you starving? What was the deal?
I get the water is usually the toughest part, but I was okay. I'm usually okay until around 5 o'clock the day of that. Then it gets like, okay, there's commercials on TV.
What was post time for eating? I mean, is it sundown? It's sundown, which is like 6:30, 7 o'clock. No,
this year it was a little early. We ate about 10 to 8. It's usually about 8:15.
10 to 8.
Yeah.
You went from the previous day till 10 to 8 the next evening, last evening, without a drop of water.
Yes.
Not even an eyedropper, full of liquid. Nothing.
No.
What about drugs? Are drugs okay? Were you able to eat gum? No, you can't even have like a gummy bear or an edible. Nothing.
I mean, I could, I guess, but it'd be dumb. You get thirsty. Like, you're just tempting with fate at that point.
Yeah, but that would be consuming something, so it wouldn't be any good. I mean, I guess you could smoke weed. Yeah,
yes, probably vape, but again, you get thirsty, so you're just being dumb then.
Is that an open defiance of the Lord if you start smoking weed in the middle of the fast? Well, what do you think?
I've never
to make light of this. I mean, for the people that observed it, I have nothing but the utmost respect. Lubie, if you made it through, because Mayo had like a phony. Did you see this guy? He posted like he had fasted all day, but he was eating a pizza from the pizza spot, like in the middle of it. It's like, Mike, come on. I mean,
dude, you're lying.
I don't think a pepperoni and mushroom pizza really is considered part of a fast. I'm not sure. But no, it's admirable, Lubie, and it's good. And now, do you feel cleansed? Are you okay? Because you look better than you usually do in these on these mornings? Was it just having a morning to sleep in, or what do you think?
Yes, it didn't hurt sleeping in. that definitely helps.
I always dig it. All right, we have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge coming up. That's going to get underway about 7:30, of course, so you can always dial us up for that, 954-417-0070. Baseball season came to a conclusion, the regular season yesterday. I was looking over some stuff, Lubie, and watching baseball tonight on ESPN, and they had a lot of different allusions to things that happened during the baseball season. It's a shame, and we say this, and I believe it to be true, and I'm not sure that it matters as much in South Florida as it might in other parts of the country. I always like to pick up my New York Post here. I mean, they've chronicled all 62 of Aaron Judge's home runs as part of the post sports section, in addition to having a major degenerate thing. I mean, they have all kinds of statistics and stats. And for all of you guys that are out there, Mayo is the worst offender of this, making fun of me for getting a newspaper actually physically. But you have everything in kind of a capsule formula here. All the stuff that you possibly could want to read and or take a look at in terms of so and so is in second place. All of this stuff is right here in a little capsulized format, and that's the way I like to get my sports in the morning. And go into a little bit of detail. But there were a lot of things to the baseball season, Louis, that would have blown by us here in South Florida because we were immersed in the usual misery of trying to figure out when is this 5-year plan, rebuilding plan, going to finally kick in? Do you see elements of it already in place? Nothing. Zero.
No, I feel like it's so funny because
all of that bullshit we spewed out, like when we were at those spring trainings, trying to act like, hey, we're on board with this. All out the window, huh? I mean, we were trying to believe, but it became very difficult, didn't it?
I was gonna say is it wasn't really us believing. We worked with the Marlins. We were at their stadium. We were having their people on, and even then, we questioned it relentlessly.
I was trying to give the Cy Young to Urania.
Well, but you really like Urania, though. That wasn't actually a joke.
No, that was a mistake. Yeah.
The other part we asked repeatedly. We did it with Geffner. We did it with Mish. We did it with Mcneil. Like we didn't shy away from that because I couldn't understand it. Well, to get good, you need to get bad. Like, okay.
Sure. But it has worked for two franchises. I mean, you're looking at the Houston Astros and the Atlanta Braves as two solid contenders. Braves win the World Series last year. The Astros perennial contenders for the last several seasons. And they've even had defections from their core that they had put together of young guys that were going to blossom into superstars. Correa ended up with the Twins. I mean, they've had, departures as you're going to have with free agency and the inability to retain everybody. But even with that, I mean, you would have to consider them very, very likely contenders to go to the World Series again. No, Houston Astros and the Braves. I don't know why they wouldn't be favored to make it back there. The Dodgers had a sensational year.
That's insane.
The Dodgers have a penchant for choking in these spots, do they not? All of a sudden, Clayton Kershaw can't find the plate with a search warrant, and things go south. But they appear to be loaded. 111 wins during the season. Certainly nothing to just brush off, but those two teams did bottom out, came back, and became perennial contenders. I think the Braves have won the NL East 5 years in a row, and the Houston Astros seem to be a lock in their division every year, and always, at least the last many seasons, cheating notwithstanding, are solid contenders based on the players that they put on the field. So it did work there. So what happened here? Because, I don't know. The Braves do spend money, obviously, as do the Astros. Maybe they have the money to spend because they became contenders. But nothing. I mean, the fish appear to be right at the bottom of the ocean. They literally, it's Luca Brasi time. They sleep with the fishes. I mean, a horrible, uninspiring season by the Marlins this year, with no reason to believe that they're on the threshold of doing something next year. Wouldn't you go if we were dealing with our good friends at Deal Volkswagen? And they were inclined. We had those massive campaigns trying to encourage people to bet the over and root them in. And you would have lost 4 out of 5 years, which and this year, I mean, what was really, mysterious in terms of how bad they were. So where's the 5-year plan at? Do we have pitching? Maybe. Some. Not everybody looked like they should. Alcantara was sensational, probably wins the Cy Young. this year, and he was great. But even with that, he didn't have that great of a record because the team stinks that's around him. Kim Ng came in with a lot of fanfare, female general manager, first one in Major League Baseball history, I guess, first one in that position in any major sports history. And so that was nice that they were going through groundbreaking stuff with the Marlins, but she goes out, makes a couple of acquisitions in the offseason, and they all ended up being busts. So, where does that leave it? And they're reorganizing, they're firing scouts, they're firing it, but it doesn't seem like the key personnel are making any changes, except for that we lose Don Mattingly, who I thought was very noble, trying to manage his team and never said anything that made you think that he was even in the slightest way upset with the way things were coming down from the top. But you know that some things had to bother him, no? Don Mattingly, that he didn't feel like he was playing with a full deck as he went in there in the National League East, where just about everybody was trying, right? With the exception, I guess, of the Nationals, who were very good for a period of time also, but maybe they are incurring the natural decline that happens after you've had a long run at the top, and they weren't able to sustain it. And other than that, the Marlins were horrible this year, 69 and 93. Not exactly the kind of thing that leaves rise for hope that when they get down to spring training again, this is the year they're going to get it together. There's no indication there. So being out of it, though, we missed a lot of the baseball season because, obviously people were following Aaron Judge, and that was great. He does not win the Triple Crown. It is kind of an interesting, you wouldn't think this was debatable at all, Lubie, but what do you do with Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge in the MVP race? If they called it a dead heat, it would not be unjustifiable. Sometimes you're calling a boxing match and going, well, you know what? If this came out a draw, it wouldn't be out of the question. That might be fair to have co-MVPs, would it not? With what Ohtani did, 34 home runs. He had an ERA of like 2.5, something like that. Won 15 games for the Angels, who were horrible this year, and batted like 270 something, knocked in 90-plus runs. Who's done that since Babe Ruth in like 1919? Unbelievable. What do you think? And then you have a guy that broke the American League record for home runs. Some people believe that's the legitimate home run record. I don't know if I can really just push aside. They allowed Barry Bonds to do this. So how do you not count that as the record for home runs in a season? It happened. Are we just going to erase all of those years? People want to do it. I know the inclination would be on my part. You want to think that the guy did it clean. But cheating is rampant in all sports now, Lubie. Cheating is rampant in all sports. Did you see what happened the other day? I watched this. Scott Van Pelt had a story. I guess it was written about somewhere where guys were cheating in a walleye fishing contest. They put lead weights in the fish for the weigh-in.
Shut up.
No lie, man. They started filleting these fish after they put them on the scale, and they were 20 pounds over. It was.
Oh my God!
It looked like a Don King weigh-in. It was unbelievable. And then you have this chess guy that now has been cheating, known to be cheating, even admitted it. So you can't. When you can't have a fishing contest and a chess match that are on the level, Lubie, then how could you possibly expect Major League Baseball to retract all of the things that went on during the steroid era and discount all of the records when, look, we all saw Bonds hit 73 homers one year. So how do you make this a record? That's 11 more than Aaron Judge had. My inclination, naturally, like yours, is to say, yeah, that should be the record, but I don't know that you can just take it out of the record books, and the asterisk really doesn't do anything for me. It's either there or it's not, and there it is for everybody to see, 73. Record number of home runs in a season.
Look, and my thing is, and it's what we get back to with the Hall of Fame, and it's why I don't want to be a hypocrite. I'm trying to be consistent. How do we know Judge is clean? Well, he's always been big. Yeah, so was A-Rod. A-Rod was literally big since high school. No one ever thought A-Rod was a roid person because A-Rod was not McGuire. He wasn't Sosa. He was always great. He was always big. And A-Rod was unjuiced possibly since he was 18. So that's Aaron Judge being that mountain of a man. And remember, Aaron Judge didn't get great till he was 26. Like that's what people don't realize is like the dude's in his 30s. But yeah, he's young. No, he's really not young. He's actually right when guys usually start to tail off in their career. This is when Albert Pujols started tailing off, is at the age he's great. He didn't get great till 26. So why do we know he's the clean guy. No, we don't know. And we don't know the pitchers. We don't. So
well, and same thing with Pujols. I mean, goes over 700 home runs this year. Has a monstrous second half of the season where he hit, I think he hit almost 20 home runs after the All-Star break.
yes.
Albert Pujols, who was in kind of Cabrera territory, Miguel Cabrera, who lost all of his power. And it really has been a shell of what he was before. Not even a reasonable facsimile, even though he's still out there functioning. I guess, does Miguel Cabrera have another year to come back with the Detroit Tigers on that massive contract he signed? He might. But Pujols, remarkable turnaround in the second half of the season in terms of power stats, and goes on. What did he end up with? 702 or 703, something like that. That was part of a good story, though, in the baseball season, was it not? And people love Albert Pujols. They love Big Papi, right? You don't think that Papi did test positive at some point, did he not? But somehow that was overlooked before it mattered, right? I don't want to think that Aaron Judge is on the juice. I really don't want to believe that, but you never know.
I can assume he isn't. I'm not saying he isn't clean. I hope Pujols is clean. I hope Griffey was clean, even though he magically never got hurt and then couldn't be healthy. I'm not going to boo you. You know, it's like the thing where most people assume Piazza was on steroids, but because he was a sweetheart, no one gives him crap for being.
Everybody liked him, man. Good guy.
You know, you can dislike someone as a player. Believe me, I hated Barry Bonds. I rooted against
Bonds was an asshole. There's no question.
But I'm not going to take away who he was. Look, I couldn't stand Kobe Bryant. You're not going to say that wasn't a great player. You know, God rest his soul. So it's like, I mean, it is what it is. I think that's stupid to dissect.
Well, with Kobe, they just overlooked sexual assault, though.
I'm just talking about
they swept that under the rug like it was nothing.
Once he started winning, so it's just weird to me. Like this. Well, this is the real. Because you like him, because he smiles, because he answers questions without really answering
How
questions.
do you not like Aaron Judge?
He's great.
He's fantastic. He's great for the game. What an ambassador. You would hate to think that he couldn't pass a drug test, but I would imagine, I mean, is there not random testing in Major League Baseball? It doesn't seem to be so impactful because you can't think that only – I keep using this as an example. I was shocked when Felix Heredia, who weighed 140 pounds, former Marlins pitcher, was popped and suspended for 80 games for using the juice in the minors. And the guy, that was soaking wet. He was 140 pounds, skinny as a rail, and you would never anticipate that this was a guy that was on the juice. So I don't know. I mean, is it fair to assume that what percentage of Major League Baseball players do you think are still using steroids to go 162 games like that? And, you know, I mean, the rigors of it, after a while, you would just naturally tire and tail off as you got into, look, we're still playing regular season games in October, or were as of yesterday. And now you have added playoffs, so they've added even more games into the, you know, the total tally that players have to endure. Hard to imagine that juice is absolutely out of the game, with the exception of the one or two players a year who get popped. Hard to imagine that.
Julian was just like, but they test now. Look, I love you, Julian. I hope you're in New York. So first of all, there's no way you're that naive. You're in New York.
No.
Second, I love to be that naive. Second, I'm born and raised in South Florida, so it's hard for me to be that naive. Maybe jaded, cynical, call it whatever the hell you want. I hope it's out of the game. I mean, come on. We know with every new test comes a new way to get around.
Beating it, yeah.
Yes. Like, come on.
Well, maybe the Marlins are the only clean team in baseball. That's why they stink. They weren't the worst team in baseball, though. They were like the fifth worst record, I think, in Major League Baseball this year. All right, a couple of things. You know, I love batting average, Lubie. I love batting average. I think that's the ultimate barometer of a hitter, or among the ultimate barometers of a hitter. Certainly an important factor, more important than people make it. I don't like it. I think you might have only had 4 guys hit above 300.
The whole
what was that? In the American League? 4 guys hit above 300. That was it. Yeah, I mean, Judge was second with a 311 batting average. That guy, Reyes, I guess is how you pronounce his name, the first baseman for the Twins.
Yeah.
And he sat out. I mean, that was one of those things. Remember when Teddy Ballgame was going for 400, and he tried to hit 400 for the season, a ridiculous accomplishment, Ted Williams, and he ended up playing a doubleheader on the final day of the regular season. He could have sat out and been over 400. But he went ahead and played. He went like 6 for 8 in the doubleheader or something like that. You had a wild one in the National League race for the batting title. Jeff Mcneil of the Mets, who is really an old school throwback in terms of his approach and how he hits the baseball. Not a tremendous power hitter. I saw him hit a home run the other night, but he's choked up halfway on the bat, Lubie.
That's
Making
fine.
contact and placing a ball and driving it where, it's hit him where they ain't with this guy. Does a tremendous job. And he came on. He was about 5 or 6 points behind Freddie Freeman of the Dodgers, who had a great season after going to L.A. from the Atlanta Braves. And think about that. The Braves lose Freddie Freeman, who nearly led the National League in hitting, in batting average, and still were as good as ever, winning 100 games this year. So, that's testament to the idea that whatever they did when they stripped down somehow had a much more effective purpose than anything that the Marlins have done, because they remain stripped down to this day. In fact, they probably should strip this club down from what it is right now. No, should go right back into the tank.
I just don't know how, and that's what I was trying to say. Is 5 years ago, as much as they all believed you needed to get a new minor system and
Jeter was going to do it,
and all that, I felt more confident then, because at least you had guys with next to their name the term all-star. Like you have one right now. I don't
disaster
at all. And that's we're gonna strip it down. This isn't stripped down? What is this?
What is this? Yeah, they got nothing. They have guys that just look to be overmatched when they come up to the plate. They look scared. They look overmatched. They look very lacking in confidence as they're standing in there. And you're thinking that this team will never score any runs. If it wasn't Jim Sarney, our good friend Jim Sarney pointed out, I mean, if they had a better record in one-run games, that's probably true of all clubs that had a lousy season. But the Marlins especially were impacted by losses in one-run games, and they had a zillion of them, and they found ways. I mean, they invented ways to lose one-run ball games during the course of the year. Such ugliness. Anyway, Mcneil was about 5 points behind Freddie Freeman, maybe with a week or so to go in the season, and he got on a tear, and he sat out yesterday and ended up winning the batting title with a .326 batting average in the National League. Freddie Freeman needed to go like 4 for 4 in the last game of the season for the Dodgers, and he starts out, he laces a base hit in his first at-bat, hits a home run in his second at-bat, and then flies out near the warning track in center in his third at-bat, and then loses the batting title by .008 percentage points to Jeff Mcneil, who ends up winning the batting title for the New York Mets. So that was very exciting at the end of the year. And, of course, I thought it would be, I don't know, what would have been a bigger accomplishment? I guess 62 home runs, and breaking the American League record for Aaron Judge, record most people feel without juice, which you've now, cast a dark shadow on Aaron Judge. It'll be way to go. Did he pay for the abortion or not, Herschel Walker? Well, what happened, Herschel? Why don't you just tell us the truth? Is it possible for a politician to tell the truth if he's?
That's a great question.
I don't know that the Democrats are all 100% coming clean with everything that they say about their lives, but certainly the Republicans have an awful lot of stuff to cover up. But that being said, great races there for the batting average. LA's ends up winning it. Would it have been a bigger accomplishment winning the Triple Crown or breaking a record for home runs? I don't know that people remember Triple Crown winners as much. I mean, you join a very distinct and short list of players that have won the Triple Crown. I thought it would have been great if he could have done it. He seemed to be pressing a little bit to try and hit that 60-second homer, and maybe that hurt him in terms of the batting average. But it shows you how tough of a balance that is, and what a great accomplishment it was for Aaron Judge to even hit 311 in an era where 311 is like hitting 350 was several years ago. So good job there. And that was very exciting, made for very compelling stuff. The Mets, did they collapse? Did they choke? Or did the Braves just get really hot? Braves were like 40 games over 500 in I think, their last 110 games. They went something like 73 and 35 or something like that. Almost 40 games over 500. In the last 110 games of the season. So did they just catch fire? And I mean, the Mets won 99 games this year. Not a bad total. But did they choke in blowing a 10.5 game lead, which is, I think, like the fourth or fifth biggest lead that was evaporated in the history of divisional races. So did they choke? What do you think? And they might get cute here in the playoffs, which I read something today. I would be very disturbed if I was a Met fan, where they might sit DeGrom They're going to start Max Scherzer in Game 1 against the Padres tomorrow. And they're going to see how that goes. And if they win that one, they might sit DeGrom and hope they get through this series without using DeGrom so that they can start him. Well, I mean, it's 2 out of 3. So, I mean, they could win 2 games without using him. And then they would have him to start out against the Dodgers, and he'd be able to go 2 times against the Dodgers in a 5-game series. What do you think? Dumb move?
I mean, in regard to what Andy's saying and what you said, it wasn't over like, what was it? Was it the Cubs that year that did in like a 2 or 3 week span or something, gave up like 9 games? Like it was over.
The Cubs choked that year. I mean, they lost like a 10-game lead in a very short period of time.
I think the Phillies did something like that. Like, look, it was over.
Phillies choked that year, no doubt.
Months, and the Braves were the defending champions, and the Braves were working Acuna back into the lineup. We're getting used to not having Freeman. Like they have one of the best rotations in baseball. Like to me, it was safe to assume the Braves would come on at some point, and you had to have a 10.5 game lead just to have a chance, and that's what happened. The 10.5 game lead. Look, it's not like it went away and they lost by 6 or 7 games. They kept it going to the end of the year when a lot of their fans were like, "Oh, this is done," So to me, I don't think they choked. I think they played above their heads and then regressed to the mean and did as much as you can do when you're relying on 2 pitchers and a lineup that's shaky. And I think that's what it is, especially when you're going against the juggernaut. The Braves have become a juggernaut. Like they're the one team to me, outside of the Astros, that is complete and can really take out the Dodgers. The Yankees, it's about getting hot at the plate because their bullpen's their pitching's okay, and they don't even have a closer. So it's really the Astros and the Braves. Like so for the Mets to be in it all year with them, to me, is impressive, and it's something that they should be proud of. I've been around you too long to not wonder when managers do things like that. Like to me, ride with the guys that got you there. DeGrom, I know you never know when he's going to get injured.
He got touched up a little bit in his last start. Gave up 3 home runs. And he wasn't overwhelming. He started out great when he came back. And then, I don't know, by DeGrom standards, let's put it this way, he was just so-so in his last couple of outings. Now, I don't know if that, would be screaming that he needed some rest. Certainly, he would like to have him. I mean, if the thinking is we need this guy twice against the Dodgers, that's interesting because you have to get there first. And my philosophy, Lubie, don't get cute.
Yep.
You have to close people out when you have the chance. So we'll see how that plays out. It's kind of interesting that the Mets would already have stated that they are toying with the idea of not pitching DeGrom against the San Diego Padres, who, that's no slouch team there. The San Diego Padres. They have some studs there. I mean, could they not get hot for a couple of games and take the Mets out, even though the potential 3 games are all going to be at Citi Field? Very, very interesting. All right, so the matchups are these, Lubie, going into the wild card, and all 4 games. I love this. Now, are we going to have a couple of times where you have 4 games in a day? I guess. Well, there's no travel also, so you don't have that day off. So this could be a feast for the eyes of baseball fans everywhere. Seattle, who hadn't been in the postseason for 20 years, made the postseason. They take on the Toronto Blue Jays, who a lot of people thought were going to be the team to beat in the American League East this year. That turned out not to be the case. The Blue Jays, though, very competent. And Seattle now trying to get off the schneid after 20 years. They finally made it into the postseason. We'll see if they can win a series. But those 3 games are all in Toronto. Tampa Bay absolutely gagged down the stretch. Not that they were going to go any further, but they did eke their way into the postseason. And they take on the Cleveland Guardians, who nobody even knows who they are. Cleveland was... You see Guardians, you're like, what team is that, right? It's like seeing the Commanders in the football standings. Cleveland was hot in September. They had a very strong September. And obviously is a team that you might want to root for because of Francona being there. A very likable guy. Tampa Bay was awful. They went 2-9 in their last 11, the Tampa Bay Rays, and were really floundering towards the end of the season. So even though they're always a great story and one of the organizations that has to be looked to as being run at the pinnacle of efficiency, they still come in there as an ice-cold team and now have to go on the road and play the Cleveland Guardians in a best-of-3 series, all 3 games in Cleveland. San Diego and the Mets, I don't know. That one, you would think the Mets would have an edge there, but San Diego does have some dynamite players. They didn't get as much out of Juan Soto Juan Soto looked more like the 249 hitter they signed to that multiple, $400 million deal. Once he got there, I mean, he had some moments, but not enough to make you think, wow, what a monster this guy is. So still a little bit suspect, only 23 years old. Machado, you can make a case that he was the MVP in the National League, could you not? Manny Machado had a real good season.
Legit, yep.
Hit like 295, something like that. Had over 30 home runs, a lot of RBIs. And they go against the Mets at Citi Field. And in Philadelphia with Dave Dombrowski at the helm, fourth team that Dave has taken to the postseason. He came on board late, and they take on the St. Louis Cardinals, one of the best-run organizations in any sport, and a red-hot somehow Albert Pujols. And the Cardinals usually find a way to manufacture wins in these spots. So they have the home field over Philadelphia, who also played very well, I think, in the latter stages of the season to scramble their way into the postseason. So interesting. And that's all taking place tomorrow, Lubie. Tomorrow, mañana. We'll have to find some baseball expert. Can we get a guy who can try and make some deductions as to what's going to happen here? What do you think?
I mean, Mish, what's good about Mish is he's a baseball guy and a degenerate. Like, he actually pays attention to the odds and the gambling aspects of things. So it would be a Degenerate Friday. So it'd be good to have someone who does lean degenerate. So
well, we have to touch on this somehow, do we not? I mean,
Sean,
because I won't pretend to tell you,
I don't know anything.
that I know a ton about what's happening there. I mean, we obviously followed some of this stuff.
What I just said the last 10 minutes is from looking into stuff yesterday, and outside of yesterday, I would have had no idea what happened in the baseball season. So I pulled that out of my ass.
A lot of interesting developments, no doubt about it. All right, we have football tonight, NFL football, and you have what? The Broncos and the Colts. In Denver. Why are we getting such a heavy dose of featured games with the Denver Broncos, who are not entertaining to watch at all? They have a decent defense, which people question whether their defense was legitimate. It seems to be. And Russell Wilson has been a joke so far. Now, he may have a breakthrough game tonight. Maybe they finally, as Mike Westhoff would say, title of his book, maybe they finally figured it out with Russell Wilson. This Hackett looks like he is miscast as a head coach so far. And we're getting a heavy dose of Denver Bronco football in primetime NFL games. And to tell you the truth, I don't have a ton of interest in this game. Do you? Indianapolis with Matt Ryan quarterbacking has been a dud so far. They did pull off the surprising win against the Kansas City Chiefs, tagging the Chiefs with their only loss of the season. Chiefs bounced right back out of that game and looked sensational offensively against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa, putting 41 points on the board. But the Denver Broncos not exactly a thrill in Manila every time they line up. And Indianapolis Colts were supposed to be good this year, but haven't been so far. So a kind of lame Thursday night game unless somehow both teams wake up at the same time. That may be one where, you get an extra hour's sleep tonight after arduous rigors of a fast. But that's happening. And then what I thought was going to be a marquee matchup. I mean, I was looking forward to this game, as soon as these two guys started, calling each other out, Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban, two of the most despised coaches in all of college football. Although Nick has been successful on the field, I don't know that Jimbo deserves the lofty status that he has right now. But
Jimbo's been real quiet. He was talking a lot.
Yeah, 24-point dogs in this game, 24 and a hook, I believe, to Alabama, and that may not be enough to entice people to bet Texas A&M. What do you think? Would you put the money on Texas A&M? Hope they stay close.
Is it at Alabama? I don't even know where it is. That's how little I care about this game.
Saban, you would have to think that Saban would not hold back in rubbing Jimbo's nose in the dirt here.
He could have Milroe as the quarterback, and he'll still win by like 30 just to be a jackass.
Texas A&M and Alabama. Where is this game, Libby? Let me see if I can find out. I don't want to get in a jackpot like I did with that Dolphin game because it looks like it's at Texas A&M according to this. But Alabama
Stadium, I think, is Bama. I think it's at Alabama. If it's Bryant Stadium, I think that's Bama.
Well, they're in caps here, so that would indicate that they're the home team. But that was deceptive in yesterday's New York Post listings of the odds, as I thought the Dolphins were going to be hosting the New York Jets the way it was printed, and it turns out that game's in New York, and that looms as all of a sudden a vastly different ballgame, does it not? What looked like it could be a gimme on the schedule, of course, on the road, you never can say it's a cinch, a sure thing. But now with Teddy Bridgewater quarterbacking, Tua seemed to be having, a real evolution in terms of his ability to sort of rise to the occasion and have a symmetry with his team in key spots, which is what you're looking for. I'm not sure that Bridgewater has that yet. In fact, in the key spot in the game that he played last week, he ended up throwing a hideous, ugly, we're not on the same page type of pick.
Yep.
After Giuseppe goes in, he throws the ball outside, and that's what happens with backup quarterbacks quite a bit. So we'll see. But what looked like a gimme for the Dolphins all of a sudden looms as a little bit more of a threat. And can you imagine this? What if the Jets were sitting there at 3-2 in a time with the Dolphins who got off to this sensational start? That would be rather deflating, my friend. Talk about Deflategate. Rather deflating. Regardless of the fact that Tua is not going to play in this ballgame. All right, we want to get to the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Dave Gurgles Gurgley is ready to go, and he'll have the challenge. So we have players lining up, including one of the fabled ones, Lenny the Chronic, who may end up being the first guy. It'll depend on the random phone scrambler, but you can dial us up at 954-417-0070. The handsome one down there at the bottom of your screen here, if you're watching the video stream here on South Florida Live, is one Dave Gurgles Gurgley. A fabled South Florida broadcaster and man about town. Gurgles, how are you, my friend?
Doing wonderful. I love the rundown on baseball. It is 58 years ago that we celebrate the Phillies and Cardinals again down the stretch, where the 64 Phillies had a 6.5 game lead with 10 to go.
Oh, Jesus.
And he ended up pitching short bunting, and Gene Mauch, quite frankly, blew it. The Cardinals got in there. I think the Cardinals beat the Yankees, and then the Yankees fired Yogi and hired the Cardinals manager, Johnny Keane. So I'm rooting for my Phillies. And Mike, let me ask you this. Are there any undefeated teams in the NFL?
Eagle. I was like,
Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly.
They look good, your Philadelphia Eagles.
So it's a busy time out here. Tomorrow, quite frankly, we are doing, I think it's our 6th annual tournament for breast cancer research. It's called Before Pink. We've got a full field of 130 golfers.
You should have saved that for tomorrow.
Well, I've got even a more pink one for tomorrow, but we'll have 132 golfers here. Then Monday, we're doing our 19th annual Corey for St. Jude's tournament. This is a neat one. The doctor from St. Jude's actually flies in to play in the event. And our greenskeeper's son, Corey, had a heart attack at age 5, became a patient at St. Jude's. He's now 25, still in a wheelchair, but works at Publix and has come along great. So 2 great causes, Before Pink and St. Jude's coming up here. So quite busy. And it's opening day at Keeneland. I thought you'd make a trip this year.
Is that right? No, I'm off the circuit there this year. And I love it there. I absolutely consider that a cathedral of all sports. I mean, it's one of my favorite places to go. But and I was thinking, since they have the Breeders' Cup, it would be too much of a jam up. But I guess that's separate. Are they running right through the Breeders' Cup, the Keeneland meet, or are they going to run like 3 weeks?
They're running right up to it. Then they go to Churchill, then they go back there. It's kind of convoluted. You're right. Yeah. You're right. But Mike told me off air that the only reason you're not going to Keeneland is because the Mustang doesn't have points there. Is that the story?
No, it's great. I mean, they do juice the rates on hotel rooms, but it's one of those things I really enjoy in sport. I mentioned this a few times. I know you've been to a couple of these type of situations, Dave, during your lifetime. But I remember I was very reluctant at first. I wasn't sure I wanted to go to Omaha, Nebraska for the College Baseball World Series. I was calling Canes baseball at the time, and any free trip was always great, but I was thinking, geez, what am I going to do for like 8 days in Nebraska? Now, at the time, Saban was open, and beyond that,
right,
they had simulcasting where South Florida, still in a Stone Age, didn't have it. So I was loving that aspect of it. And Vic Stoffer, who I was friends with from his days of calling races at Hialeah, was the race caller at Saban, and he was a man about town. So we had kind of a wild time out there, and I enjoyed it. But what I really enjoyed was the whole spirit of the event. That the entire city was consumed by the College Baseball World Series. Fans were coming in from all over, but the local people were really into it and very hospitable. It's kind of that way for the Kentucky Derby, and it's definitely that way for all 3 weeks of either of the Keeneland meets, where the whole city is immersed in what's going on out at the racetrack. And then you get out there. Now, when the weather's lousy there, it's not so much fun. But when you get one of those 65-degree clear sky sunny days, unbelievable. I mean, it's like you talk about with Saratoga or any of these kind of boutique racetracks. But and it's all about horse racing there. That's all they care about. But which kind of makes it a lot of fun. But I'd love to go there. I've been a few times now. Do you have plans to go?
No. The shoulder seasons of October and then April are two of our busiest times for tournaments. Yeah. So it's a busy time for me. It'll be on my bucket list, and it'll take me probably 23 hours less than to go into the Maldives. So I definitely want to go in the future.
You have to put it on the bucket list, no doubt. I mean, you have to spend about 3-4 days, of one of those Keeneland weeks, and you'll just absolutely love it. It's fantastic. And my recommendation would be this: go in the back way and stop at the Track Kitchen and get your breakfast there. As opposed to the $12 omelet at the hotel. Just go in there. The Track Kitchen is great. I always love the atmosphere in there because you have all the jockeys and the grooms and the people on the backstretch. And somehow we slip in there, act like owners, and grab a $4 egg and cheese sandwich, with a nice piece of ham cut on top of that. And it's absolutely fantastic. And then you get to walk through the barn area to get to the track, which is actually a legitimate entrance to the Keeneland racetrack. All right, speaking of great racetracks that have this kind of vibe and flavor and history, Hialeah Park, just a beautiful place. And we'll get into the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge in just a moment. But I know you love it there. And speaking of Keeneland and the simulcasting, the champion simulcasting room for the Breeders' Cup, or any day for that matter. I mean, even if you're in there on a Tuesday punching away on Belterra Park, it's absolutely pristine the way they put this thing together. I know it's one of the best rooms I've been in. I know you've been in a lot of simulcasting rooms. What do you think, Dave? Are we exaggerating there?
Well, I think no, you're not, and even though you're prone to, you're not in this case, because Hialeah Park, I think, goes back to 30 years ago or whenever they had Gulfstream and Calder kind of ganged up on them, and
they kind of gutted them. Yeah,
said, "Oh, it's a horrible place to go. It's easy to get to, no matter you Broward, Dade County, right off 75 and 74th Street exit off the Palmetto, easy, plenty of parking, beautiful, clean area." And you go inside, and it's a palace inside. And if you're a degenerate like us, boy, it's made for you. You get your choice of sitting at a table with a bunch of guys to share opinions, or like me, when you want to be alone, Greta Garbo style, you have your own little carousel with 60-inch TVs right in front of you, the brass rail bar right there, and they've got friendly tellers, great food as well. And when you want to take a break from the races, maybe between Keeneland and Santa Anita's mid-double, you can walk right over to the casino. And the slots, as you say, are pretty loose over there.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, jackpots being won all the time. The poker room is great. The layout of the champion simulcasting room is terrific also. And you don't have to start screaming for somebody, hey, can you put Delaware up on that screen? It's all right there, laid out perfect. I mean, a lot of the things that cause, degenerate anxiety, just not in the equation there at Hialeah Park. You walk in, you go, okay, I have everything I could possibly want, except, I need a couple of winners. That you're on your own.
Right.
But you're a winner when you walk into Hialeah Park each and every time. And as you said, the casino has been just on fire. A lot of special events as well. Great food and drink all over the place, not at ballpark prices. We couldn't love it any more than we do. 9 years now plus operating the casino at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, coming right back with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We'll do that for a while. And then this is kind of great. Lubie informs me that one of the guys that he discovered a long time ago, under the auspices of maybe being a .com schmank, is now with the New York Daily News. And he's going to join us and help us analyze the Dolphins and the Jets. A gentleman named Antwan Staley. Nice young kid. Was he with the Sun Sentinel for a while? How did you find this guy originally, Lubie? He was with one of the local papers.
The Dolphins, but it wasn't with a local paper. It was with like Athlon Sports. He did Dolphins and Canes. And then he went up to Tallahassee and covered FSU for, I think, the Democrat. So that was like his first like real deal stream newspaper gig. And he went and was doing stuff for Oregon out of Carolina, I think. I don't know the outlet.
I mean, a roundabout way to get to the New York Daily News.
All over the place.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So he makes it big time in New York as a Jets beat writer, which what happened to Mcneil Schmidt? What kind of jackpot did he get in? What was that all about? I mean, do you know? Do we have any ideas what the details are on that? Because he was one of the most respected guys And we used to have him on all the time. This guy was a beat writer for the Daily News on the Jets, and well respected, and did a lot of stuff, I guess, on national TV networks as a guest. So people knew him. What did he do? All of a sudden, jackpot, boom, gone. I guess it can happen to anybody, right? It nearly happened to me. All right. We're coming back with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. The great Dave Gurgles Gurgly. He's ready. You got some brain busters for him, Dave?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. All right. Dial us up if you want to play. 954-417-0070. Antwan Staley later on with his deductions on what might transpire. Dolphins and the Jets. And maybe we'll touch on some other NFL things. And we'll come back with more in a moment here on the Defo Show. A Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge about to get underway in a moment. Now that.
The time.
7:46. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante, the Belmont's now a mile and an 8. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici, just switch the stick.
The only way to get your morning started with Defo and Lubie right here on the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. About to get started with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. I was just checking a note on my phone here, and I didn't realize this. I guess this is a media note of some significance, especially to people here who knew Sid Rosenberg when he was down here with $7.90 the ticket, and then later on $6.40. Evolved into political talk. Now is making it big. He's a movie star, TV star, has a big-time morning drive radio show in New York. He was partners with this guy named Bernard McGurk, and had been for a long time. And I don't know what happened to this guy, but it seems kind of sudden since he was just working recently. But Bernard McGurk checked out.
Oh, jeez.
And there was a somber note here from Sid on Facebook attesting to that, or alluding to that. And wow, I mean, so you just never know, man. The guy was like fine a week ago, as far as I know. So I don't know what happened there, but anyway, may he rest in peace. And that's always, it'd be like finding out, well, Lubie wouldn't be surprised if I checked out, but I certainly would be at a loss if all of a sudden there was no Mike Lubie Lubitz here on these shows. So our condolences and sympathies to the families and friends of Bernard McGurk, longtime media guy in the New York City area. All right, with that, let's get into some levity here and the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Lubie has a Landlubber's gift certificate. Are you back on tonight now that you're not fasting anymore?
It wasn't about fasting. It was about the Dolphins having Thursday Night Football. And yes, we will be on 6:30 p.m. tonight at Landlubber. So get your trivia fun now and recap it later tonight with the professor and me.
That would have been a way to break the fast, huh? Some of those garlic Parmesan wings.
Honestly.
And I coveted. I always liked the burgers there, too. They were absolutely fantastic. They're great food and drink at Landlubber. So that's in Plantation. That's Sunrise and Pine Island in Plantation. Lubie will be there later on tonight with the Trivia Challenge. Gurgles, are you in class? No, you have so many things going on. I don't think you could include that as part of your social calendar. All right. Anyway, let's get it started here. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Landlubber's gift certificate at stake. All you have to do is dial us up, 954-417-0070. You heard from the Polyman with his brilliant operatic rendition of his original tune about Solo Volante, who fortunately was up to track in the Belmont, although our man Luca Panici has been pulling off some surprises, Gergs. I know you follow Gulfstream Racing pretty closely. I think he won like the late double maybe a week or so ago with like a $12 horse in the next to last race and then an $80 bomb in the last race. So if you're a Luca Panici fan, you might have made out pretty well. Of course, my friend Francesco, who talks to him every day, never mentioned a word to me about either of those two horses. Luca, tell me nothing. You know, he speaks with a pretty heavy Italian accent. Have you met Francesco? Did you ever meet my friend? No?
I have not. No.
He called me last night. He was lamenting the fact that, Luca, tell me nothing. He wins $60, $80. Tell me nothing. Give me these stinking losers all the time. The jockeys might be the worst out at the track. I don't know. Who's worse, jockeys or trainers, when it comes to giving you a tip?
I think the jockeys.
Jockeys,
I think definitely the jockeys.
They have no idea, right? No idea what's going on. All right, let's get it started here in the traditional fashion with a dedication to the Polyman, who, any contact with the Polyman? I haven't heard from him for a couple of weeks.
I did. I spoke to him 2 days ago. He's hanging in there. Yep. He asked about everybody, and he vowed to be back once they go back to the phones with the rotary dial. He said he'd be back.
Good chance that happens sometime in the very near future here, because we keep going backwards in all other respects. In fact, I think if the Republicans take hold of the Senate, we may go back to rotary phones, no? Going backwards in terms of all other rights and considerations here. So, all right, we'll leave that for another day. I know you don't like to get immersed in political talk here, Dave Gurgles Gurgley. So let's fire away in the traditional fashion with Dave Gurgles Gurgley as the Polyman and some
Easy Baseball. This late-night host on the Great American Pastime once said, you know what I love most about baseball? The pine tar, the resin, the grass, the dirt. And that's just in the hot dogs. Was it David Letterman, David Ortiz, Irad Ortiz, or Jose Ortiz?
All right, let's roll the random phone scrambler. Select our first player. And it lands on, wow, what a surprise here. Lenny,
yeah,
the Chronic. Lenny, how are you?
Good. How are you guys? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, my friend. Oh, well, New Year, yeah, that already transpired. Were you fasting last night, Lenny the Chronic, by any chance?
Yeah, I might have snuck a nibble in.
What is considered a fast for you, Lenny? A couple of meals? I mean, that would...
Couple of hours?
Couple hours, yeah, that'll do it. All right, you have 1 point. You're in the game.
Hey, let me just rest in peace to Bernie.
What happened there? Do you know any details? How did he pass away? This guy?
No, he's been very sick. He had prostate cancer, then he had pneumonia, and he's been very sick.
Okay. Because I said he was fine up until last week. I had no idea. All right. Well, may he rest in peace. That's a sad day.
Yeah.
All right.
Rumors of his health being good were greatly exaggerated here on the show. All right, you have one going for two. Here's Dave.
All right, football, Lenny. Former NFL quarterback for the Steelers, the Eagles, and a couple of teams, Bubby Bristner, has done quite well after football. He actually owns 3 Popeye Louisiana kitchens in and around Baton Rouge, Louisiana. True or false?
I'm going to say false.
I'm going to say true.
It is false.
It is
false. He's the VP of CECO pipeline in the oil and gas field, though. He's still doing quite well.
Wow.
Better field. I mean, grease, but different type of grease, and I would think more lucrative than fried chicken. Very nice. All right. Wow, Lenny, did you see what happened there, Gurgles? I mean, we
I
can't
got
just,
one. I got one.
You know,
Hey, Gurgles,
pass
we want you
over.
tonight if you can make it.
I'm sorry?
We want you tonight if you can make it.
Sorry? No, I heard what you said. I just said I was sorry. That's it. All right.
sorry for your loss there, Lenny. And you may lose tonight if Lubie has anything to do with it. All right, 2 for 2, going for 5 here, Lenny, to set the pace.
All right, Hoops, Lenny, let's take you back. Miami Heat's season getting ready to start. December 14th, 1988 was the Heat's first ever win, 89-88, over the Clippers. 3 Miami players shared high scoring honors with 15 points that night. Which of the following was not one of those 3 high scorers? John Sunvold, Pat Cummings, Grant Long, or Billy Thompson?
Wow.
Let's go with Billy Thompson.
Billy T.
No, that's a good guess. Believe it or not, the one you would expect would be one. John Sunvold only had 14. The rest of them had 15 each.
Wow.
Was that the prettiest rotation on a long jump shot that you've ever seen? John Sunvold, man.
Wow.
They should have always had the NFL film shot of Sunvold's balls coming out of the corner there, where, our shots coming out of the corner. I don't want to say his balls were coming out of the corner. But it was, Gurgles, you're a shooter. It was a perfect, symmetrical rotation on every shot the same way, man. You could see the seams going. Anyway, only 14 that night, so you're wrong there, Lenny, and going for 7 points.
All right, Lenny, baseball. There are 10 Major League Baseball players who have hit a record 3 home runs in one playoff game, but only one of them did it twice.
Wow.
Which one was that? Jose Altuve, George Brett, Babe Ruth, or Albert Pujols?
3 homers in a playoff game, twice.
Let's go with
one of them did it twice.
Let's go with the Babe.
Bambino, yes?
That is correct.
Wow,
well done.
Nice job, Lenny. 7 points. Razor sharp going into that live performance tonight at Landlubber. So we'll see if he can parlay that into a double win. And imagine that. Do you give away a Landlubber's gift certificate at Landlubber's, Lubie? When, is that part of the prize package there for the live people?
Is we give away a gift certificate for first and second place. So the Chronics have a really good shot of that. And then either Ron or Lenny usually win here as well. But you joke, but I don't think they ever pay for
poor Alex Sufreen, man. These guys haven't picked up a tab there in like 12 years. It's incredible. All right, very good, Lenny. Lenny, 7 points to set the pace here. You can dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Later on, a little dissection of what to expect in the Dolphins and the Jets battle with Antwan Staley. Now with the New York Daily News. You sent me a link to this article on the Metaman. What did happen there, Libby? What kind of jackpot was this guy in?
I also sent you the title, so that should do a little for you. Read the title. You don't have to read on air, but that sort of lets you know.
I can't really click on that here, though.
Don't worry about the clicks.
Yeah.
If you could, it would take you away from here, and we don't really need that bad. So it's just the idea of you can look up that title, and you will eventually get that article. But if you read the title, I feel like it sort of tells you some things were going on. I know people were not a fan of him on Twitter. He was very honest. On Twitter, and I know he did some other things. I don't think he was actually violent or physical, but I think his words are more what they're talking about. That didn't work out well for him.
We got guys dying, guys getting busted. It's unbelievable here. All of our friends are, in some kind of peril. All right, Gurgles, let's just keep it rolling here. You're on a roll. Those were great questions, and we have another set ready to go and another player.
All right. Football. This former Jets quarterback, known for his butt fumble, responding to the Dolphins' butt block kick a couple of weeks, said, "Hey, stay out of my lane." What's that? Mark Sanchez, Rick Monday, or Tuesday Weld?
That was the old joke, right? The guy was going to put a foot right up your rear end. And it nearly happened in an NFL game. That was amazing. All right, here's the scrambler. And Pat, back from a red-hot trip to Las Vegas. We were seeing some of these exploits being chronicled on Facebook and social media. And Pat, welcome to the show. Good morning, sir. How are you? Pat. Pat. Here we go. Pat, go ahead. All right, Pat, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Hey, guys.
Oh, good.
Hey.
We're glad you're good because we were getting a little nervous there, with the McGurk thing and all of this other stuff. All right, you have 1 point. You're in the game. How was Vegas, by the way? Well, yeah, you were not in the kind of places necessarily that the common degenerate would be. You actually went and saw things, experienced some nature and stuff like that.
I was.
You were?
Off the strip. Yeah. It was nice. I enjoyed it.
All right.
A great pool, and
you were at the pool. You spent time at the pool because that's a negatory, right? I think the 2 times I got married there, I pretended that I was interested in going to the pool, but then found a way to work my way out of it. Right, where the woman's at the pool there waiting for you, and you have a drink, and it's all melted down. By the time you come out there, you're fully dressed, and you've been in the simulcasting room all day. Gargles, you know what that's like. I mean, after your experience there. All right, you have 1 point, Pat.
We found the pool. We found the pool, but
luckily
they had a floating blackjack table, which made up for it. That was worth it.
Remember, Marty the Party Sachs was like throwing $25 chips around like they were Frisbees. It was incredible. He was nuts for that thing. All right, very good. Pat, right. You have 1 point. Going for 2.
Football, Pat, true or false? Appearing for a short time on Nickelodeon, Scramble was a football-style kids game show hosted by, believe it or not, former Eagles quarterback Randall Cunningham. True or false?
Oh, jeez.
Scramble. False.
I want to say true.
No, that's true.
That's true?
Believe it or not, yep. Yeah, it was a little kids game, yep.
Sometimes you have to use a little Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge intuition here and try to sense it out. Maybe you don't know the answer to the question, but you got to feel where is Gurgles coming from. And would he have made that up about Randall Cunningham just because he's a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan and they're 4-0? I don't know. So I figured, wow, that had to be true. Otherwise, you wouldn't have brought it up. All right, 1 for 2 and going for 4.
Baseball, Pat. In 2012, Major League Baseball introduced the one-and-done wild card game. Who was the first American League team to win under this format?
Nice.
What's that? The Texas Rangers? The Baltimore Orioles, the Cleveland then Indians, or the Detroit Tigers?
2012. Let's go with the Orioles. The Orioles.
Orioles, correct.
Yes.
Very nice.
5-1 over Texas. Well done.
They looked like they were going to be some story this year, and then they kind of faded into Mike Tyson's Bolivian during the later stages of the season. All right, 4 going for 9, and right now you're in second place. Chance to take the top spot, top seed.
All right, Pat. Hockey. Derek Sanderson, the first millionaire probably when he signed with Philadelphia in the WHA, nicknamed the Turk, played primarily for the Bruins, but was well-traveled among NHL teams. Which of the following teams did he play his last NHL game with?
All right.
The aforementioned Bruins, the Rangers, the Canucks, or the Penguins?
Wow.
The Canucks.
I'm going to say Rangers.
No, second last team. The Pittsburgh Penguins.
Penguins.
Last team.
Remember the hair? I mean, that was the greatest head of hair in all of sports history, was it not? And no helmet, man, just flying around. All right, very good. Pat with 4. So we have some sharp players so far, as you might expect. Veterans of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Lenny leading the way with 7 points. Pat has 4. Always leading the way in the heart and mind. And, of course, the taste buds of one Dave Gurgles Gurgley is Perdomo Cigars.
Yes. You don't have to go to the Maldives to smoke a Perdomo cigar, although I took some with me. You can go right to 5750 Northwest 167th Street, right off the Palmetto Expressway, just a little bit east of the Home Depot on the south side of the street. There it is, the Perdomo sign out front. I went to see Nick just Tuesday. Went, stopped and see him. Things are going really well. 4th generation, make it 5th generation now, of Cuban seed tobacco grown in Nicaragua. you may have seen with the hurricane, a lot of the Cuban growing fields were damaged during the Hurricane Ian. Didn't impact Nick at all. His cigars are Cuban seed, but in Nicaragua, and they are perfect one at a time. So go in there, see Lauren, his daughter-in-law, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go into the humidor that our late great friend, the Mad Dog, built, and ask for Nick Jr. They'll be glad to help you. Me personally, my new favorite is the Lot 23, a little bit milder. If you're a full-bodied cigar holder and you like the Maduro, well, the 20th anniversary you can't go wrong with as well. Perdomo Cigars, 305-627-6700, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Weekend, not a problem. PerdomoCigars.com, that will tell you the retailer near you that sells these great. Keeneland today in the fourth race, Jimmy Graham on the 4-horse. Be there. Might be my Perdomo Cigar horse of the day. Put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars. Keeneland starts tomorrow, but Perdomo's there forever.
You love Jimmy Graham as a jockey the way I love Dr. Jerry Graham as a wrestler. I mean,
Okay.
you love this guy, Gurgles, and have had great success with James Graham, riding, especially in these spots at Keeneland. Where now are all the heavyweights going to be on the scene there? I don't know. I guess
Yes.
it's more common on a Saturday.
Sayers will be there the whole meet. The first 3 days have 11 stake races, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sayers will ride the whole meet. Rosario will be there quite a bit. Ortiz brothers will be there probably this opening weekend and make infrequent stops there too. But there's another guy to watch there, Vincent Chamaud, Chemaud, a French rider on the grass.
Thought he was Jewish.
Some bombs too.
Wow. What's his first name? Chamaud?
Vincent.
No, Vincent. The last name is Chamaud.
Right. Okay. Shamal. Okay. Shamal Yisrael. That's why I thought he was Jewish. All right, very good. Dave Gurgles, Gurgley, Perdomo Cigars. Don't forget about him. Were Customs inclined to scrutinize your assortment of Perdomo cigars? Did they try to comp one?
No, I bring
say,
3 or 4 of them.
That's keep
it.
One of these?
Put them in a bag. No problem whatsoever. Yeah, not a problem.
Brittany Griner would have been far better off packing a bunch of Perdomo cigars than this hash oil.
Absolutely.
Which what a tragic story that is. All right, coming back with more here. More players coming up, and then we'll get to the finals later on. A little, as we say, dissection of the. Is that fair to say we're going to dissect the Dolphins and the Jets for you through the eyes of Antwan Staley, a fast-rising star in media, who jumped from. I mean, he was like in Altoona, Pennsylvania, the other day, and now he's. Lubie surprised me. He's like the beat writer for the New York Daily News. Well-deserved. A real good kid. He was always real good on the show here, so we're happy to have him. All right, back with more here on the Defo Show, Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, brought to you also in part by Perdomo Cigars. Dave Gurgles, Gurgley. Been with you, the entire time, huh? 25 years?
Yes, almost quarter of a century now. Absolutely, yeah.
Gotta love the loyalty. Same thing goes for Hialeah Park. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time!
8:08.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Herschel Walker might be doing a little Jimmy Swaggart, kind of peeling back previous statements if these people keep coming out of the woodwork. All right, welcome back to the show. Jeff DeForest, we got Mike Lubie Lubitz, the Defo Show, and of course it's the Thursday edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Features the great, the brilliant Dave Gurgles Gurgley, who, when he fires off a Perdomo Horse of the Week, definitely worth paying attention to. You had a streak there for what? What did that last like almost a year, where you were on fire?
I was thinking 4 weeks maybe.
Well, that's
whatever the case.
That's quite a streak.
We've had some good ones along the way.
Yes. Well, you gave out some bombs too. It wasn't like you were giving out like 4 to 5 shots. So that was always terrific stuff. So that's the first Perdomo horse in a while, I think, that we've had here on the program.
Right.
So worth paying attention to. What was the name of this nag again? Running today?
It is the 4th race. No, it's tomorrow, opening day at Keeneland. 4th race, number 4, Be There. And not Be Square, but just Be There. Jimmy Graham. I think he's 5 to 1 morning line. I think he'll be probably 8 or 10 to 1.
Well, not after this show. I mean, come on. Once our legions of fans start plunging in their home betting accounts on Be There in the 4th race at Keeneland, we're lucky to get 9 to 5. All right, we're continuing here. We have good stuff working there so far on the show. Lenny with 7. Pat comes in fresh off a trip, a red eye from Las Vegas, and tallies 4. So they stand in first and second. And you can dial us up if you'd like to play. We'll try and play a few more. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. The number to reach us here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. And we're set with our next group of questions here.
Olympics. This Russian comedian on the difference between United States and Russian female athletes said, "I like American women. They do things sexually Russian girls never dream of, like showering." What's that? Yakov Smirnoff vodka, Tito's vodka, or Tito Francona?
That'll get him 9 years of hard labor. I mean, if he says that in some Russian stage. Here's a scrambler, and it lands on Mike. Mike's our next player here in the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, A.
Hey, is correct. Good job, Mike. Way to fire on that thing. You had it twice.
Football, Mike. True or false? The Seahawks win over the Lions with the final score of 48-45. Last occurred that same score in 1968 when the Redskins beat the Eagles by the same score, the only 2 times in NFL history it ever happened. True or false?
Interesting.
True.
I'm going to say false.
Actually, it's false.
Yeah.
Prior to this time, it never happened. I should have saved that question for Lenny. All right.
No, that was a good one because it seemed entirely possible. But I was reading Gurgles with the Eagles and, going back half a century, and I thought, probably a bunch of bullshit. All right, they're very good. One going for 4 here. This is a tie for second place, Mike.
All right, let's update a little things. The NFL, during last year's season, the 2021 NFL season, who was the only team to allow over 500 total points to their opponents? Was that the LA Chargers, the New York Jets, the Atlanta Falcons, or the Houston Texans? That was last season.
A.
And the New York, the Chargers were A. The Jets, believe it or not, 504. That was the answer B.
Why is that not much of a surprise that the Jets would be associated with some level of infamy that's only happened once in this century? That's great. All right, going for 6 points here, Mike, and this would put you in a second place and possibly in the finals.
All right, baseball. Who was the first pitcher to strike out 200 batters in his first 3 seasons in the major league? Was that Bob Gibson, Sam McDowell, Dwight Gooden, or Mike Cuellar?
Wow, tough choices there.
Let's go Gibson.
I'm going to go Mike Cuellar just as an oddball thing.
How about
Sudden Sam?
Beat the Mets. Beat the Mets. It was Dwight Gooden.
Come on out and beat the Mets. Bring the kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life. You can call us at 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. East side, west side. Everybody's coming down, boom, boom, to beat the Mets Mets from New York town. Did you know that there was a second verse to that song? I'll have to look it up. Because, I mean, the song was a classic, right? And everybody around New York, back in the day, it was, humming this, or it was in your head there, and you were thinking about banging Miss Rheingold when you saw her on the sign there in the subway. But there was a second verse to this song. Who would have thought that you needed more of that? And the second verse was like atrocious. I'm going to have to look it up because you could definitely make a case that it's one of the worst theme songs in the history of sports.
And the maker and the candlestick maker. It's like freaking weird, the second verse.
It is such horseshit, Gurgles. You would really get a kick out of it. I mean, this is right up your alley.
I would like that, yeah.
Of things that you can verbally destroy for the next 20 years of your media career. I'm surprised more is not made of it, but and nobody knew there was a second verse. It's kind of like dusting off some thing in the garage that you thought what was worthless, and it turns out to be a Picasso. A second verse to the Mets song, the classic Mets song. All right, let's try and get another player in here, and then we'll go to the finals.
Okay.
So 954-417-0070 is the number. I hope I didn't say that too fast, but we're ready to go with Dave Gurgles Gurgley and our next set of questions.
All right, hockey. This veteran, rather conservative Philadelphia Flyers coach, on the generation gap between him and his younger players, say, I don't live in a fast lane. I live on the off-ramp. What's that? Fred Shero, Fred Gwynn, Early Wynn, or Wynn Elliott?
Another Philadelphia connection there, Fred Shero. Here's the scrambler. And Ron is our next player. Ron, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, fellas. Let's go with A.
He's right on the money, my friend. Ready to go? Ron, ready to line up at Landlubber tonight, too, with Mike Lubie?
Oh, yeah. We'll be there tonight. We're going to win tonight.
Wow.
We're going to win.
There's another $75 out the door. Yeah, for a Supreme. All right. All right, one going for two here, Ron.
All right, golf, Juan. Wheel of Fortune co-host Vanna White, believe it or not, has become obsessed with golf and recently broke 100 for the first time. True or false?
False.
That's true.
No, that's true. That's true. Yep.
Broke 100, man. That's not bad, right? Just taking up the game. That's legit. I mean, did anybody know? Was she accused of any form of cheating?
No, not at all.
And shave a few strokes there, or maybe tee one up in the fairway.
That's disappointing.
No, not Vanna.
Did they have surveillance cameras there at Shula's? Did they see me teeing the ball up in the middle of the fairway? When I used to do that, or kicking one out of the woods?
Well, they kind of expected it.
Playing the women's tees, I mean, all of this stuff. Yes. It was great. All right, one going for four. One going for 5.
All right, Ron. NFL football. On Monday night, Matthew Stafford threw another pick-six interception, his 28th, tying him for third all-time with
Drew
Brees, Dan Marino, Phillip Rivers, or Joe Namath.
Jesus.
Let's go Phillip Rivers.
I'm going to go Marino.
Oh, I was going to say Rivers, too.
Marino.
Marino's second all-time. Favre's first all-time. He's tied for third with Joe Namath.
Oh, wow.
Joe Willie.
Wow.
Man. I saw in a picture somebody posted on Facebook of Joe Willie escorting Raquel Welch into some big event. Yeah, and they were thinking, man, this guy, I mean, he wasn't hard up for making it with the ladies. So let's put it that way. Raquel Welch looked pretty good, too. Very revealing outfit for the day. All right, shot at 6 points here, and this will put you into the finals. Ron, you would take over from Pat for second place.
Golf, Ron. Nicklaus, Palmer, and Mickelson rank 1, 2, 3 in runner-up finishes in major events. Which of the following did not have 8 runners-up in majors? That's my fault. So okay. Nicklaus, Palmer, and Mickelson are 1, 2, 3. There are 3 players tied with 8 runner-up finishes in majors. Which of the following is not one of them? Okay.
All right,
Greg Norman, Sam Snead, Tom Watson, or Ernie Els?
Jesus.
Let's go. Oh boy. go Watson.
That's what I would have said.
I was going to say
No,
Elf.
he had 8. Snead had 8. Norman had 8. Ernie Els as runner-up 6 times.
Would have had that if I had 2 shots at it.
But
unfortunately,
I think you would have, yeah.
There's only one. I needed to go down to the 50-50 on that. All right, we're going to have Lubie assemble the finals here. It's going to consist of Lenny and Pat. And while we do that, Gurgles, let's get another word in for Nick Perdomo and Perdomo Cigars.
Yeah, tomorrow with breast cancer and deference, I'll have the sign there, but I probably won't smoke a Perdomo cigar in honor of the breast cancer folks. But on Monday for the Corey for St. Jude's and over the weekend, you better believe I'll have a nice Perdomo cigar. You don't need a reason to smoke a cigar this season. Just enjoy a great Perdomo one. And how to do so? Go visit them in person, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., 5150 Northwest 167th Street, less than 2 miles from our beautiful golf course here in Miami Lakes. Monday through Friday, you can be there. Call them if you want ahead of time, 305-627-6700. Go online. See the great selection they have at PerdomoCigars.com. See Lauren, see Nick, see the whole gang. They make them perfect one at a time. You don't have to travel 28 hours across the world to enjoy a Perdomo cigar. You can do so right here. So this weekend or anytime you choose, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
All right, Dave Gurgles Gurgley. And wow, that picture of you with the you can see that beer is still ice cold. Also,
Ooh,
even though you know had a little sip off the top there, absolutely fantastic. All right, we're going to come back with the finals here in just a sec, and we'll decide the championship of this week's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, and then later on we'll get into the Dolphins and the Jets matchup as we'll talk to Antwan Staley of the New York Daily News. Tomorrow, a Degenerate Friday edition of the program, and we're going to try and get into a little bit of baseball there. Do you have a favorite? Obviously, you're rooting for the Phillies. I don't know if they have the goods to win it all this year, but do you have a favorite to win the Major League Baseball World Series championship?
I think that's a nice thing about this one. I don't, and there are so many great stories with the Mariners, with the Blue Jays, with all the teams that have gotten in there. I guess I would kind of root for Cleveland, as you said, because I like Francona. I think he got a raw job in Boston several years ago, and I think you don't hear anything about Cleveland because with the Indians' name gone, people don't even remember the Guardians.
I didn't realize they had a team.
Well, they're under the radar, no doubt about it.
No doubt. Played real well in September. I picked that up last night from watching like Baseball Tonight or something, and so in there with a legitimate shot. And that'd be nice to see. Cleveland, and as you said, that there is nobody that doesn't seem to like Terry Francona and what he represents. And the sad part is we probably vividly remember Tito Francona, which what did he play like 100 years ago? Oh my God, Gurgles, we're getting old. All right, we are set for the final, so we're going to go right to that and then take a little break and come back some Dolphins football, Dolphins and the New York Jets, and maybe span around the NFL, some other things as well. For Jim Sarney, I do have to mention that the Inter Miami FC soccer team, which we pay zero attention to here on the show, we really, this is an opportunity though, and you'll have to bug Sarney for this because he would have a number on Ray Hudson, who would be the best guy that we could have to possibly provide commentary.
But Hudson would be really fun, and this would be a good time we could actually get Hudson on.
So colorful. When you talk about a color analyst, be colorful. That's Ray Hudson, man.
Yeah,
they have to take their spears and put them right in the ground in the emblem there in the center of the field and prove that they're men. He's fantastic. I love that guy, Ray Hudson. What a great guy. And he's exactly how he is at all times, Gurgles. One of those type of people where there's no difference from the on-air Ray Hudson to the off-air Ray Hudson. Exactly the same. He's great. All right, we're set for the finals here. We have Pat, we have Lenny, a couple of classic players. You guys know how this works. I don't know. Who regulates the internet? Nobody? Obviously, if we're on it.
It's an organization. I don't know what it's called. There is something.
Are we obligated to state the rules anymore? No 3 knockdown rule? No standing 8 count. Fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final. Only the doctor can stop the fight, and the fight's official after 4 rounds. Otherwise, it's declared no contest. They go to the scorecards after 4. All right, so you have the rules. Here we go. Dave Gurgles with the championship question.
Good luck, guys. Sports. Who says there isn't life after the NFL? Retired quarterback Jake Plummer, after competing in the NFL, excelled in another professional sport. What sport was that?
All right, interesting. Here's the here are choices.
Was it archery, squash, skeet shooting, or handball?
Oh, Jesus.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Pat, what was it?
That was first.
Skeet shooting.
I don't
Wrong. How
believe
you
that's
actually
correct. Yeah,
wrong?
that's a good one. Paul, did you ever do that, Gurgles? Did you ever skeet shoot on one of those cruises? I don't think they had that anymore. It wasn't like in favor.
No, they don't. They don't have it anymore. But with my luck, the skeet would shoot back. So no, I wasn't involved in that.
No, but you don't realize that the gun is going to pop back like you have it lined up on your eye, and then the thing kicks, the butt kicks you right in the eyeball, and you got a black eye. Yeah, that happened to me. I almost broke my nose the first time I fired a shotgun. No, it was not at a woman, so don't put me in that category. 3 left here for the chronic, the dangerous chronic.
Yes. All right, Lenny, was it archery, squash, or handball?
Archery.
I don't believe that was in either. Yeah, okay. So we're down to the
You're
2
off the
choices.
mark,
Yeah,
as they
I'm
say.
50-50. Pat, I'm with you. 50-50 on this one.
Squash or handball?
Squash. It wasn't
Door
squash.
for Lenny.
Squash.
Oh,
No,
wow.
he's a semifinalist in the Idaho State Professional Handball Tournament. Jake Plummer.
Oh, I have your
Wow.
PC tonight.
You know what else he was known for, Dave Gurgles after his football career? He was one of the early proponents of CDB oil. CBD oil, yeah.
Ah, okay.
We had him on an interview. They offered him up. We said, oh, sure, we'll get Jake the Snake Plummer on. And all he talked about was weed, man. It was fantastic for the entire time. And this was years ago. I want to say probably 12 years ago before CBD oil was
The early teens.
even talked about. He was, I would imagine he made himself quite a fortune if he was in on that in the very beginning. Although sometimes the pioneers end up getting no piece of the pie, as might be the case here with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. All right, Dave, always a pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure. You're a great American, and you have fun.
Certainly mine.
All those great causes you're involved in with the golf tournaments. And let's hope Be There is there. Was it Be There, the name of the horse? Be There.
Good, yeah. Be there in the 4th race, number 4, Jimmy Graham. Good luck tonight, Mike. Yeah, and go out to Landlubbers. You said you love the burgers. Thursday night, there's their burger special as well. Don't miss it. It is unbelievable. When I don't have a Friday tournament coming up, I'll definitely go out there.
Perfect.
Unbelievable.
Good luck, Gurgles. We love you. We'll see you next week.
All right, Gurgles. Always a pleasure. Dave Gurgles, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're going to come back in just a few minutes here, and part of our itinerary will be to talk to Antwan Staley. New York Daily News, man. Very impressive, right?
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I've told Defo this. Yeah, I might as well throw at him in the last second. That's always fun.
No, it's good. I like it. I'm not a huge fan of the Daily News sports section anymore. I picked up a couple of copies when I was in Atlantic City the last time because it was all they had at the hotel gift shop there or whatever that is. The little store downstairs where you get robbed blind on everything that you buy. And they didn't have my New York Post. So I grabbed the Daily News, and I found there wasn't as much content as there used to be. Like a lot of other newspaper sports sections, it seems like the space had kind of been sucked out of there that was available for detailed articles. And, while they did cover some things, it was not nearly as comprehensive as the New York Post. There's my recommendation again for the New York Post. But when you get like 12 pages of baseball before you even get to a football story,
that's crazy.
That's a departure. And all of the degenerate material you could possibly want, including Belmont at the Big 8 today. You want any info on the entries here, Lubie? I'm not sure what my dog wanted. He just wandered in here and gave me a look like, what are you doing there, Pops? You going to let me out or what? All right, we're coming back with more in a moment here on the Defo Show. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Wow, set it up for the weekend. We've been having incredible weather. I don't know if that's going to hold up through the weekend.
I hope so.
Yesterday was one of the most delightful days. I did a walk of life about 1:30 in the afternoon. I was out there on the course till about 3 o'clock, and it was just absolutely fantastic. Of course, you get intermittently, a view of the water there and the beach whenever there is not a condo in the way, and amazing weather. So the Keys, wow, and a little bit cooler, right? Not the stifling heat that we have become so accustomed to. Not to make any allusion to global warming. I know that doesn't exist for certain people, Donnie boy. What are these people thinking?
I don't know.
I saw your man Trump speaking in front of. He looks comatose. I mean, you talk about Biden. Now, Biden, we know, is gone. He's a shot fighter. There's no question. I think my man Danny Little Red Lopez, who's been doing some appearances in L.A., is more coherent. And he got hit in the head a lot, Danny. Love him. Great guy. Great guy. But, wow, I mean, Trump was up there. He was like morose. Obese and morose. Not much fatter than he was when he was president, but in front of some Hispanic leaders, which for the life of me, I don't get how these Hispanic leaders are all enamored with Donald Trump. I mean, he would just as soon send all of them back to wherever they came from, right?
Yes.
If they were not born in America.
He uses the term Mexico, but he really means immigrant. Dark immigrant. That's what he really means.
And still spewing the same BS. I mean, Lubie, how much longer can this guy...
I don't know.
He's got like 50%, almost 50% of the people in the country want to see him back in office as president. Think about that.
Because there's issues right now, but I look, you can be on whatever political side you want. I don't understand what any of the stuff he says would fix the issues now. Like, just because he says he'll fix it.
We won in Philadelphia. We won. Just shut up. Anyway, it's enough to drive you crazy, man. Jim Sarney sent me a text about the Trumpster, and I was like, "Don't get me started," because I'm ready to just chill out, man. That's why I want to go down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. I wish I could move in there. It'd be fantastic if I could afford one of those places on a permanent basis. That would be the way to go, huh? Just looking out there, the beautiful water, sunsets are absolutely incredible there. But all day long, it's just great, a tremendous vibe. And a terrific place for taking in all the sporting events. John Kajemi always emphasizes that. His brother Dominic makes sure that these guys were involved at St. Thomas, with athletics. Larry Calvano, who owns the place. Jimmy, loves sports. So if you're a sports fan and you're looking for a place on a Saturday to watch all of this great college football action, or Sunday, the NFL has been terrific so far. I mean, you couldn't ask for more exciting games than you're getting out of the National Football League. At least half the games are just monstrous conclusions where your heart is in your throat, whichever team or side you happen to be rooting for. And from a gambling standpoint, even more outrageous in terms of how tough it is. But this will be the place to watch it. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Great food, great, the atmosphere, unparalleled. Of course, cocktails, you're in the Keys, for God's sake, and they really do it right. And great accommodations also. JimmyJohnson'sBigChill.com is where you can check that out. Terrific place to spend any time, whether it's just an hour respite from the drive down to Key West or some other Keys destination, or you just want great food and drink at a reasonable price in an unbelievable setting. It's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Like the first thing you see on the right as you're going south on the Overseas Highway. Right, you gas up and then boom, you're right there. So, don't make the mistake of stopping at one of these other places. Just give it a try if you haven't been there before. You're going to love it. And sometimes people think, we had this question come up yesterday, right? Or Tuesday on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox with Jim Gilbert, the offensive line coach of the Buccaneers. And you would think, are NFL people inclined to dine in a place that's named or owned by a former NFL coach? Like Ditka's in Chicago. I mean, I think Ditka's had a good reputation, no?
Ditka's and Shula's. I mean, Ditka's always was considered pretty.
Shula's Steakhouse was top notch, no doubt about it. I mean, it was first class. It was a great place. And, Shula's Steak, too, which is still in operation now under another name, where Gurgles was originating from today. Always a good place. Good. But would you be inclined to eat at a restaurant that was named for a coach? My original instinct is to say probably no.
No.
And then, and Jimmy, though, was known for the certain, is there anybody that epitomizes the kind of fanfare you would expect at a Keys restaurant than Jimmy Johnson? From his legendary stuff that he was doing with the Dallas Cowboys there and his affinity for Mexican food and things like that. Unbelievable assortment of stuff that they have at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. You're going to love it. Check it out for yourself. That's mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. And for any kind of reservations or information, JimmyJohnson'sBigChill.com, and just give them a call. They're more than happy to accommodate any questions you might have. But I'd put it on the itinerary if you were going to the Keys. Make sure you make a stop there. There's only so many of those greasy conch fritters you can get from Alabama Jack's, right? Everybody ditches out to go Card Sign Road so they can stop at Alabama Jack's, pay $6 for a beer. No, it's probably a fine establishment.
I mean,
staying right on the overseas highway, straight down Lubie, and whoop, hanging right there into Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And then on the way back, looping a left if I'm going to a place further south. All right, we're coming back with more. Antwan Staley on the Dolphins and the Jets. Now with the Daily News. He's going to join us here on the Defo Show on his Fine Thursday. Our thanks, as always, to Hialeah Park and Dave Gurgles-Gurgley, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Pretty good game today, did you think?
Yeah, it's competitive.
I like the questions. Very nice. All right, we'll be back with more on South Florida Live in a moment. Now that. It's 8:35. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Staley. Antwan Staley, USA Today, does their coverage on Dolphins football. What excites you, or what should fans be excited about Ryan Tannehill and the immediate future? You're just looking at a guy, and not to denounce him. I mean, it's easy to jump on the bandwagon. A guy took a Tex-Cobb-like beating out there yesterday, and he has in the past. I mean, that started his first couple of seasons. You didn't think this kid was going to survive, and he has been impeded now by injuries. But you're asking yourself, what aspect of the game does this guy have down pat that you should get excited about?
Nothing.
Nothing.
You want me to give you the honest answer?
I'm trying to give the cat the benefit of the doubt. He did an appearance with Lubie. We like the guy.
He's better than me.
Yeah.
I would have come up with something.
We are back with Defo and the boys. We now return to the Defo Show.
Taking a page from the late, great Howard Cosell when it came to journalism. Tell it like it is. And maybe that's what brought him to this level of greatness and stature in the journalistic world. And we're so proud when this happens, where somebody that we got to know maybe in their humble beginnings in the business, years later, while we're still at our humble beginnings, ends up in a giant spot. And we welcome the show Antwan Staley, who we introduced to you guys many years ago. I think he was with like Athlon Sports or something. And now with the New York Daily News, covering the Jets. Antwan, congratulations, first of all. How are you, my friend?
What's up, my friend?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Doing well, sir.
Well, not as well as you. I mean, New York Daily News, that's lofty stuff. I mean, they pay heavy attention to all of their teams in New York, and a lot of scrutiny, most competitive media market in the country, and obviously one that great number of people pay attention to from around the world as well. So what's it like being in that spot? I mean, tell us about, maybe a little bit of the evolution of how this came about.
I mean, I just got approached by it like during the summer and had an opportunity to take the job. I was doing college football covering Oregon at the time for about a year. So yeah, I had the opportunity to, get a little bit closer to my family, be back on the East Coast. So I definitely took that chance, and it's been great so far. I definitely had a good time covering the Jets. I know that's kind of crazy to say that, but it's a good team, and it seems like they're heading in the right direction. But we'll see. This is definitely a big game coming up this Sunday for both teams.
Well, if we've learned anything in my case, over 40 years of doing this, close to 50, actually, when you put together my experience before coming to Miami, and especially from doing talk shows and being on some kind of interactive media outlet before the internet came into vogue, and social media and Twitter and things like that, where everybody's got an opinion and everybody's got their own show. But we know that, the best possibility is either to be really bad to make for good copy, or really good, and that mediocrity is not a big seller and not a great situation. So with the Jets, they were always good copy, whether they stunk or not. And now it seems like at 2-2 that people are beginning possibly to believe. Is that a mistake? Or what do you think? I mean, is there reason to see what the Jets have done so far this year? They pull off a late victory against Pittsburgh. They got Zach Wilson back. Now they did the first part of it going 1-2 with Joe Flacco at quarterback, and we didn't know who had more mobility, Joe Flacco or the Statue of Liberty, the actual statue. So is there a reason? I'm looking at a couple of articles today. I get the New York Post and not the Daily News, but a couple of pages of Jet coverage, and there are a lot of positives being reflected here in the New York media. Is it justified?
Yeah, you definitely need to start reading the Daily News too as well. So, yeah, I just like to throw that in there. But also to the side, it's a reason. There's a lot of reasons for optimism with the Jets too, because they have a lot of young players. You mentioned Zach Wilson being back last week. It wasn't a great performance, but I feel like he did a much better job of commanding the offense than Joe Flacco. And then you look at the draft picks that they acquired in April, South Gardner. I didn't think a rookie quarterback would come in so fast and be able to produce the way that he has, but he looks like an NFL type corner in 4 games. So that's been amazing to watch too as well. Garrett Wilson has been terrific as well. And then you got Breece Hall, who has definitely become the Jets' #1 running back. So I think they're really headed in the right direction with the picks that they acquired, and also some of the veterans that they have too, like DJ Reed, who they also picked up in free agency.
Well, before we continue on this thread talking about the game, I know you cover the Dolphins and you have an eye. You still have a lot of followers that are Dolphin fans. I know you keep an eye there, and you're now covering the Jets and the NFL at large. I have to ask, because they're two very different fan bases, but by many have both been called lunatics. You were down here a long time. You're now in New York. They're, I guess, more rabid and consistent. We're more angry and frustrated. Which fan base has been more fun, less fun, and more crazy to work with, be surrounded by, either down here or up there in the New York tri-state area?
That's a good question. I think when I was there covering the Dolphins, I didn't have to deal with some of the Tua craziness.
Yeah.
I think most people will agree, he was, who he was, and he didn't have that many defenders. With Tua, he's really polarizing. So I feel like people could be on completely different sides of the fence. So now I feel like, Dolphin fans, they got a little bit more rabid, especially defending Tua and everything that's going on now with, sadly the head injury and everything that's come from that. So yeah, you hate to see that, what happened to him. I definitely didn't think he should have came back in the game against Buffalo. I'm not going to sit here and play doctor or anything like that, but I just hope he gets better soon. But the Jets fans I definitely think they're just hungry for a winner. It's been so long that they even, been competitive. They've had one winning season since 2010. So I think they're just starving for a winner. While I think the Dolphins, Dolphin fans can be very angry at times for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, they're both definitely rabid fan bases that are, vocal for a lot of different reasons.
I think South Florida sports fans are more inclined to indifference. And we sort of had our Dolphin. The whole vibe had kind of been neutered over about 20 years of mediocrity and searching for a quarterback and always wanting to believe and finding a lot of false hope. No team has been fueled by more false hope than these New York teams, the Jets and the Giants. So, although there's an essential resignation, it seems like, with both of those clubs, less so with the Giants, that we're just going to be bad. Now, hopeful, that they would get better. On the schedule before the season started, this looked like semi-gimme for the Miami Dolphins because you weren't expecting much from the Jets. Maybe some improvement, but not enough, to keep pace with what the Dolphins did in the offseason, especially with acquisitions like Tyreek Hill and trying to improve their offensive line. From a matchup standpoint, Sauce Gardner was popping off, I guess, yesterday, saying, well, I don't know if he did it in a braggadocio style, but he was saying this is what I've been dreaming about my whole life, is covering guys like Hill and Waddle, and this is what I'm playing for. And it sounds like you think he's up to the task. I guess Quinnen Williams is performing very well for the Jets also. And now you have the Dolphins in what looked like a semi-gimme coming in there with a backup quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater, albeit with a winning record as a starter throughout his career and a reasonably decent ratio of touchdown passes to picks. For a guy that's been in and out, infrequently. How do you size this up? I mean, what is this game going to depend on and boil down to, in your opinion, Antwan Staley of the Daily News?
I think the Dolphins have a ton of injuries right now. So that's why I think the Jets have a realistic shot of winning this game. I mean, you talked about Sauce Gardner on Tyreek Hill. I know Jalen Waddle did practice yesterday, but I imagine he'll play on Sunday. Armstead is also, suffering a little bit of an injury right now. I think David Howard is really the key for me. If he doesn't play, I definitely think it's going to put the Dolphins at really a big disadvantage, especially considering I feel like the Jets receivers are a lot better, a lot more talented than what they faced last year, and they got to have him out there. And even if he's not 100%, having David Howard at like 70-75% is better than not having him at all. But yeah, I definitely think it's going to come down to this. Can they get scored enough points in order to get this job done? I mean, they've had some ugly offensive performances this year, especially at home against the Baltimore Ravens and Cincinnati Bengals. So that's basically what it's going to come down to, and not turning the ball over. They could do that. I really give the Jets a realistic shot at going 3-2, which I never thought I would say after 5 games.
Well, and what's interesting is you touched on Tua. You also brought up Wilson. It's not that he played great in the game versus the Steelers, but he actually had a really good fourth quarter, and he outplayed whatever the Steelers were throwing at him on the way to a victory to go to 2-2. But Wilson has gotten a lot of heat, much like Tua down here, maybe not nationally so much, but definitely in the New York area. And people were questioning, what is he? He's had some injury issues. He is the gunslinger, and he likes to take chances. What is the vibe around that area when it comes to Zach Wilson? And what have you seen out of Zach Wilson this year that makes you feel confident that he is going to take another step forward?
Well, I mean, I think last game against the Steelers was a big step forward too, because I don't think he had a game like that where he was good in the first quarter, he was not so good in the second and third quarter, and then the fourth quarter he turned it on and was 10 out of 12, threw a touchdown pass too as well, and led his team from a comeback victory. The Jets were down 10 points in the fourth quarter, and they came back and beat the Steelers. So, especially on the road, I definitely think that was huge for his psyche, especially coming back from that major injury, missing nearly 2 months. I think that's a reason for optimism. I think still the jury's still out on Zach Wilson. I'm not necessarily. I don't know if he is the Jets quarterback of the future. Maybe he is. I still need to see more. See that on a consistent basis. But coming back from the deficit that they came back from last week, I definitely think to give Jets fans and the coaches some optimism heading into this game against Miami.
Antwan Staley of the New York Daily News with us here. It sounds good, just saying that. And congratulations once again here on the Defo show. Very distinguished, man. New York Daily News. Nice. Covering the Jets. All right, coaching matchup. We're not sure what to make of Mike McDaniel yet. So far, so good. Seems very positive. I mean, even competitive in that tough spot on a Thursday night where he loses his starting quarterback. And, they were in there with a shot to win that game, even though they ultimately lost it by double-digit margin to the Cincinnati Bengals. And found ways to win the first 3 games in different fashions. I think a lot of people, it seems like Robert Saleh, as a former Jet fan and a guy who worked at Shea and, watched the Jets for 5 years there with Joe Willie, still a soft spot in my heart for the New York Jets. It's kind of a distant thing, but I liked Robert Saleh when he was hired. He seemed to say a lot of the right things. I don't know. I mean, what was last year? You would say, okay, well, first, a couple of years learning experience. But does he seem like he's got a grip on what it needs or what is required to be a top flight NFL coach to you?
Well, I'll say this: the players were one through a wall for him.
Okay.
And that's why they have to battle. I mean, if you're going to be a head coach in any league, in particular the NFL, you have to be a leader of man. And I think Robert Saleh is definitely a leader of man. I definitely think he's somebody that the players, respect a ton. I remember when the receipt comment came out a few weeks ago, and the players loved that. They loved that, somebody was sticking up for them and saying that, hey, this is not Jet team that has been, perennial losers the last 10 plus years. They feel like they're in step in the right direction. So, yeah, I mean, the players really love Robert Saleh. So I definitely think, we'll see if, he is the right man for the job. But, from all the accounts, like I say, nobody in that locker room is feeling down or, not supporting Robert Saleh. It's interesting because Saleh and Mcneil come from the same tree, and Mike Shanahan, they both were together in San Francisco together, and they started out in Houston. So their careers really parallel, and now they're in this position where, they're opposite teams to play coaching on AFC East rivals there. So, yeah, I definitely think just from afar, it seems like Mike McNeil is doing a really good job, and I'm definitely a big fan of his. I thought it was a great hire when they, tried to bring him on as offensive coordinator years ago, and that didn't happen. But to have him as a head coach, I definitely think this is probably the best move the Dolphins have made in 20 plus years.
With my sustained interest in New York tabloids to the tune of about $900 a year to get the post delivered to my house here, and of course the Daily News would fall into the same category. It's interesting because the Yanks got off to a great start. They had them eclipsing any record for victories, which they ended up winning 100 games. Did they win 99? I'm not sure, but it wasn't anywhere near what it was trumped up to be early in the year. And I always love this when the New York papers and the New York media starts building something up, way out of proportion. But if the Jets, Antwan Staley, go to 3-2, will you immediately have to go to work as mandated by your editors on the Super Bowl special edition of the Daily News? How giddy will the people be in New York if they go to 3-2?
Well, I told my editor, like, I had a prediction of them winning 7 games this year. My editor was like, "Oh, that's like them winning a Super Bowl." And I was like, "What?" Like, so I'm not used to that. But yeah, I mean, people are really excited. I mean, so yeah, I can imagine 3-2 headed to Green Bay next week too. So yeah, I think it would be. I don't know about the Super Bowl, but I can just me knowing Jets fans. So what did I do? They probably start talking about playoffs immediately.
They'd have one of those Hill Street Blues type of meetings in the sales department there, and probably have everybody on the streets going, "Hey, start selling a Super Bowl special." For the Daily News. All right, good stuff, Antwan Staley. Congratulations, man! Excellent. We look forward to checking out your work there with the Daily News and the coverage of the Dolphins and the Jets coming up on Sunday there from New Jersey. And thanks so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank y'all, man. Y'all take it easy.
All right, thanks a lot. The man knew his stuff there. I mean, when he started talking about the coaching trees and all of that, that was great, Lubie. Unbelievable.
On for years. I mean, we started having him on with the Dolphins, and he did a really good job. And then he was covering the Knolls, so we had him on there a little bit, and we just don't do too much Oregon, so that's why we haven't had him.
I mean, with the status of newspapers, is it there are certain papers you figure aren't going out of business anytime soon.
Certain areas, like Feinstein likes us knowing that he still writes for the Washington Post because
the Washington Post isn't going anywhere, right?
That's my thing. Like, I always call him an editor to try and trump him up, and he doesn't need that.
They got all this dirt on Trump. Speaking of Trump, the Post.
So that's the thing. There's certain papers, certain regions in Chicago. I know the Tribune, company is not.
Yeah.
I don't think anymore.
LA Times isn't going anywhere. You would think?
LA Times, there are certain papers, just like certain radio stations, even in this world, that still hold a lot of weight. WEI, WFAN. So yeah, that's why him getting that paper job. A lot of time when guys are getting paper jobs, you and I are sort of like, oh, like when people are.
That's good. Radio, yeah, they offer you the buyout and when you signed. Yeah.
But when he went to the Daily News, it was like, all right, good for you.
That's big. Yeah, no, covering the Jets in New York.
Good for you. And he's a good dude.
For a major paper. No, fantastic job. All right. That was good having Antwan on, and congratulations to him for his meteoric rise career-wise. I mean, you're punching away for some internet site on the Oregon Ducks, who lose their head coach, and all of a sudden, have people in a quandary about where they're at, and next thing you know, you're covering. Even if the Jets, when they're horrible, I guess would make for better copy. Because then you get into all the kinds of speculation about how many of the staff members will still be around for the opening, season ticket holder luncheon the next year, which going to be a lot of empty seats there on the dais. All right, we're coming back to wrap things up in just a sec here. Once again, our thanks to Antwan Staley for joining us. It's an interesting matchup all of a sudden, no? Why am I assuming the Dolphins still should win this ballgame?
I would put money.
They're favored in the game. I know that.
I put money on the Dolphins. The problem is the Jets are playing better. The Jets have been in every game. Zach Wilson is a wild card because as much as he turns it over, he also can make some plays. They are at home. And the Dolphins are ridiculously banged up, which is really annoying. Like
three points, yeah. No Xavier Howard. It seemed like the lean was that he wasn't going to play.
I think he's going to play. I mean, they're so low on corners right now. Byron Jones was never supposed to miss a game. Has now missed 4 and is not ready to come back yet, which is really annoying to me.
I saw him running like he was going to be, one of those guys guarding Buckingham Palace. He had that. I mean, no, he was doing some kind of exercise. It's an Achilles injury. I guess he had surgery on his Achilles, which is treacherous stuff. It never works out, quite as planned, or seldom does. Let's put it that way.
I don't know if Xavier's going to play. If he doesn't play, then they're really in trouble. I'm hoping he plays, but not having Tua, Xavier banged up, no Byron Jones, it levels the playing field a lot. It just does. It's sort of annoying because this was supposed to be the easier stretch of their schedule.
Yeah. And they throw a dart right there, and you had a pinpoint of a win against the Jets, both games this year. I think everybody thought that of the Dolphins when they revamped their roster and made the Tyreek Hill deal. We'll see what happens. And it's interesting, too, with a backup, because sometimes the backup comes in and looks pretty good in the ball game that they replace the starter in and then gets the start, and it can go one of two ways. They either look really good or really bad. Or, well, I guess it could go one of the 3 ways, right? Somewhere in between. But somewhere in between, puts the Jets in the ball game if Freddie Bridgewater is not really sharp in this game. I believe that to be true. So, and I do think he's capable. I think he's sort of underrated as a backup quarterback. That was one of those subtle good moves I think the Dolphins made.
Look, stuff for Skylar Thompson, I think it's a little stupid. Like, you have a guy in Teddy Bridgewater who started last year and had
a decent winning record. Yeah, I mean, he's like 72 and 40 something as a starter.
Coming influence, and they have a lot of talent on this team. So, like, if they can just look, he came in a really weird circumstance and actually played pretty well in that game. He kept them in it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Actually, the funny thing is about that interception, it wasn't an interception. The more they looked at it, it hit the ground.
Yeah.
The replay just wasn't looked at, and the Dolphins didn't push the issue. Everyone just put their hands up in the air. So he had one really bad throw that actually may have not been as bad as we thought. He's a calming influence. I still think he's a better quarterback right now than Zach Wilson is. He's not going to throw those stupid-ass interceptions that make you go, what the fuck? So I think they're in a better place than people think. It's just not where they should have been. If Tua's out there, I'm confident. Right now with Tua, I'd be like, okay, this is a game. Now it's like, okay, we'll see.
Can you reference a Chinese fire drill anymore, or is that taboo?
I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Because usually when a backup comes in, I mean, a lot of times it's helter-skelter time, man. You're taking a giant step backwards. I don't know that Teddy Bridgewater is a quantum leap backwards from even a hot to a Tagovailoa. I'm not sure that they're that much different, really, as quarterbacks. So we'll see what happens. It's interesting, and that's just a Dolphin game. Tonight we have a snoozer, and I guess we may as well just take it right out the door here.
You said that, so you screwed me up. So, yes, I'd rather do that.
Yeah. All right, let's do that.
I'd rather do that. It's 9 o'clock.
Got to break the fast here, the verbal fast.
I know.
Imagine. No, we were on a verbal fast yesterday. By the way, I have to skip the lunchbox today, so it's just going to be you and Mike Mayo at 12 o'clock. As I didn't realize this, Mustang mentioned some social affair that we were invited to. That she naturally wants to attend, and I have I would say limited desire. If it was happening at night, I probably would have been more inclined to want to go. But it's happening at 11 o'clock today. Some big luncheon I have to go to at the Coral Ridge Yacht Club. So I'm going to break out my Alan Hale hat there. That I got when I used to eat at his lobster place in L.A. Little sailor cap. This is highfalutin stuff though. Because Mustang was telling me I have to dress up. And I said, well, what does that incline?
Oh, that's not your thing.
She said, you have to wear, a decent shirt.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, it's a big requirement here. I don't know if I'm up to it at 11 o'clock in the morning. All right, so it'll be you and Mike Mayo on the lunchbox today, by the way. And I'm curious to see because, I don't believe he had anything to do with the fast, my friend.
What do you mean? He was taunting me. He was like, literally, he's like, hungry yet? And I'm like, listen, scumbag.
At sundown, you went into literal hibernation, and he went to the pizza spot in Fort Lauderdale. Picked up 2 of his favorite pies.
What do you mean? When we were off yesterday,
then he acted like he was coming off the fest, didn't he? I mean, what kind of misrepresentation? Talk about Herschel Walker with the abortion issue. My God.
When we were off, like I was going to be off. I didn't get a chance to tell you all. He's the one that came up to me and was like, we're off Wednesday, right? As though he needed it off because of his Jewish heritage.
Because of this religious ceremonial stuff he was doing? I don't know, Mayo. Anyway, I'm copping out today, so it'll be you and Mike Mayo on the lunchbox. That's coming up. But, the Chinese fire drill, I mean, it was always helter-skelter time, wasn't it, when a backup came in? It was like you never knew what you were going to get. Certain backups were great, like Don Strzok would come in there, start firing a rock, especially when he was backing up. Can you imagine? He was backing up David Woodley, who, I don't know how Shula won with Woodley. He was strange. Seemed like you were running an option quarterback into the pros at a time where everybody was dropping back and firing a rock down the field. Didn't really work. Stroker was great, man, as a backup quarterback. Very competent. Sometimes, and the fans always attach themselves to the backup. So we'll see if Teddy Bridgewater can come in, and straighten out.
Get the job done, please. Don't
the
lose
Chinese fire drill.
That would really be annoying. I would throw a monkey wrench into the whole freaking thing.
All right, a lot of good stuff, coming up. And our thanks to Antwan Staley, Dave Gerges-Gerkley. A lot of fun coming back off the convoluted Jewish holiday observance of one Michael Q. Mayo, who, so it was his idea. Wow. I
was going to tell you all. I'm just saying he brought it up before I even had a chance to, as though he assumed we'd be off being Jewish. And I'm like, okay, so does that mean he does it? Like, okay, good for him.
I didn't want to be a hypocrite, because we call other people hypocrites on the show and call them out for being hypocritical. And I certainly have been at different times in my lifetime, I'm sure. Everybody has, where you do something and you say, well, that's not really me. But I used to work the Jewish holidays just because I knew I wasn't going to shul.
Yeah.
And I have all the respect in the world for anybody who observes whatever it is that they believe in. I just, I didn't want to be a phony about it because I never really was that significantly. I enjoy being Jewish. The Jewish culture, it was great. I have a little background in it. Did have a bar mitzvah and all of that stuff and studied some of this stuff. It was fine. Although, Hebrew school while the World Series was on with the day game, was very much inclined to just blow that off, go to Roosevelt Raceway and, at night after watching a Yankee game at some bar, we were only 12 back then. What are we talking about?
How do you skip Hebrew school?
Rabbi Philip Book had the worst breath. He gave me my bar mitzvah lessons, which were very much one-on-one.
Yep.
And the fluke thing was I knew the Haftorah. I don't know why. I just really studied this stuff. I didn't want to blow it in front of my rich Uncle Harry, man, because I knew he was going to give me about 6 sticks, which was an enormous amount of money at the time.
Driving him with a good Haftorah.
So I wanted to do this thing. And, I guess, maybe it's in line with the DNA of eventually becoming a performer. You don't want to bomb when you're up there. You don't want to look like a clown. Yep. So I really did study it, and I had it down pat. And then the rabbi whipped the actual Torah open. And the print was so small. It was smaller than the bottom line, the most minuscule line on the DMVI test, which nobody can read. Well, right? You get down to the bottom, they go, you missed a few. You go,
And you
the stop sign is big.
You practice with like the extra big one, like when you're 65 and you're
phonetic spellings. Yeah,
and they have it phonetic, and they have the vowels like bigger, and they tell you what the vowels are.
Baruch atah Adonai.
The Torah has no vowels; it's tiny. They give you some fucking thing.
Nothing. I couldn't even see it, man. And you're like stunned.
Like
I don't know that I memorized this shit. And then you look like a fool. All right. We have to run. We'll see you guys. I believe podcast should have Brandon Lang. I believe he might be trying to contact us right now. So we're going to get out of here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we will see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
9:04.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they've done to my soul.